and he hit his wife instead. Jericho hit Michaels' wife, and that's how pretty much the whole segment there ended, with Shawn Michaels helping his wife up and carrying her to the back. So it was a pretty good segment, the first good segment out of SummerSlam. I think they did something right there. Storyline writers did something right with that angle, and I think there's a lot more fuel to the fire. It adds more fuel to the fire, and I don't think Shawn Michaels is still going away. He'll come back. Obviously, now you can see the storyline plotted out in your mind, obviously, from last night, or from SummerSlam. And that is Shawn Michaels not retiring, risking his own eyesight, and he's taking on Jericho again, and off to the races we go again with another dimension to their storyline. So it was a good idea, I think, by the WWE creative team. But now comes to the worst part of the show, and that's the ECW. Again, ECW wants a great wrestling promotion. Vince McMahon brings it back, and it's buried, pretty much. And wow, Mark Henry versus Matt Hardy for the ECW title. I don't think that, as a headliner, could have sold out the Hammerstein Ballroom, the old ECW arena, back when ECW was just run by Paul Heyman and was still Extreme. I don't think that alone could have put butts in seats. This was a horrid idea for a wrestling match, because Mark Henry is too mechanical. Matt Hardy, nobody gets behind him anymore, pretty much, because the guy, he doesn't show too much emotion anymore. He's not a character to get behind. His brother Jeff, he's got great talent ahead of him. Matt Hardy, his future is pretty bleak and pretty dull, in my opinion. So I think this was like a thing to say, okay, well, maybe we can try sparking up Matt Hardy by giving him a title shot here. No, it didn't work, and I don't think it'll ever work for Matt Hardy. The guy's had numerous chances. Edge made the feud with him and Matt, between him and Matt, over Lita. And I think it's Jeff carried the team through the ladder matches and made them daredevils and whatnot. Matt Hardy has really done nothing too significant in his career, so I think that's why he's not succeeding as a singles wrestler. And it proves right here that Mark Henry versus Matt Hardy, I think he did a right decision with it, and that was ending it quickly by disqualification. Matt Hardy, I looked away for a couple of minutes, and next thing I knew, the bell was ringing. Matt Hardy had won by DQ, and Mark Henry was still the ECW champion, and it was a despicable. It was a pay-per-view match. You do not pull something like that on pay-per-view. You just don't, because people are paying $40, and they want to see quality wrestling matches. And they come out and they do this. They already have this horrid match in mind, but they end it quickly. Even if it was a horrid match or a horrid makeup, it still could have had something. Anything it could have had. But instead, they pull the plug on it, like in the first minute or two, or what have you. Tony Atlas pulls out Matt Hardy, gets Mark Henry disqualified, and Mark Henry keeps the ECW title, and we're off the races again of why ECW should be buried, or it's already buried, or it should be, let's put it this way, put to rest once and for all, because Mr. McMahon has pretty much dragged the whole ECW name through the mud. And out of 5 stars, here we go. This is the kicker. This is the one that I really, really gave the lowest rating to. If you're thinking 1, you're too high. I gave it a 0. That match was bad storyline writing right from the beginning, and they come out and they pull this crap of ending it quickly on us. If we paid $40 for it, that's why it gets 0 stars. 0. So pretty despicable. And then we have the title match. We had all 3 title matches in a row last night, which I found pretty weird, since the world title and WWE title usually are like the main events, but instead you had 2 non-title matches that were main events at this year's SummerSlam. So again, proves again that their title matches weren't even booked right to be placed on SummerSlam. This show looked like it belonged at Unforgiven. It really did. Because the world title match was CM Punk versus JBL. And CM Punk has been out there trying to prove that he's not a flash in the pan champion. JBL wants to be champion again. JBL, I hate the guy's ring work. I hate his whole entire repertoire, everything. I hate everything pretty much about him. But you have to admit the guy does cut very good promos, and he talks people into seats, especially in this feud with CM Punk. And CM Punk is really, he's a wrestler's wrestler. He wrestles, he's a straight edge guy. The storyline was pretty decent going into this one, and I actually enjoyed this match. This is the first match of the night that I actually enjoyed, and I really wasn't looking forward to it at all. And Punk ended up beating JBL, and I gave this match 4 out of 5. a pretty decent rating. It was a pretty decent match, not too bad. I think both these guys complemented each other. I think JBL was a veteran guy and knew that he had to let CM Punk do some things. CM Punk beat him clean. JBL, and then CM Punk, he's got that, he's people get behind CM Punk. So I just think it's just one of those things where they don't seem like it. The chemistry does not seem like it's going to fall into place. But it did. They did a very good job. The wrestlers, that is, they did a very good job with this match, and it finally got me intrigued into the pay-per-view. Just a little bit. And then we had the WWE title between Triple H versus Great Khali. You gotta be kidding me. Khali, I think the guy is one of those attractions. He's kind of like Giant Gonzalez, a guy you really can't expect to carry the burden of your company because of because he's so limited in the wrestling ring. But Triple H, again, proving why he's called the common denominator and makes other guys look good that are not very good. And he made Khali look pretty decent last night. He really did with the psychology that he had in the entire wrestling match. And Triple H was a defending champion. He defended it successfully. He beat Khali. And, just because I think that Khali shouldn't have been in there, I gave it a 3 out of 5. In the middle again, not for the same reasons as Jeff Hardy, MVP. It was a decent match. And it really should have been probably a 4. But I really didn't know which way to go on this one, so I gave it a 3 because I didn't really think that it did as much as it could have gotten, and because I don't think there was enough good storyline push behind it. And now off to a match that really should not have been at SummerSlam. That should have been WrestleMania, one of WrestleMania's co-main events. John Cena versus Batista, a match 6 years in the making. It's hard to believe, too, though. Both these guys have been here for 6 years now. It's very hard to believe that. Even Randy Orton, all three of those guys, it's hard to believe that they're very much veterans of the wrestling business and they're still regarded as young talent in wrestling. And they've been WWE stars for 6 years. That's kind of hard to believe. But John Cena and Batista was kind of thrown together like 2 or 3 weeks before the pay-per-view. Not too much storyline push behind it. They got a tag team title run for a week. They lost it the week before SummerSlam. They kind of exploded. They pulled that's a whole security thing again, where the security guys are gonna come out and pull out the two powerhouses. They gotta get them separated. And John Cena, Batista, two big guys. And this has some very good high spots. It had a spot in there. I wish I could show it to you, but I'm kind of still lacking the TV thing down here in the studio, but maybe I'll get that set up someday where I can actually show you clips of things. But anyways, John Cena went for like a leapfrog or something off the top rope. Batista caught him midair and gave him a powerbomb. Still didn't beat him, but he beat him with the sit-down powerbomb, the Batista bomb. Pretty much after that, it was a pretty good, high, intense, powerful match, like I hoped it would be. And this one got 4 stars. The first match to get 4 stars, and this wasn't a promo. It was a pretty decent match again. I think it could have been a 5-star one if it had a little bit more story.